everyone, this is Carla Andrea Cosal, AB Political Science 3, and I will be reporting about the single transferable vote of the electoral systems. Our objectives are, number 1, to discuss the basic rules and information of the single transferable vote. Number 2, identify the advantages and disadvantages of STV. And number 3, which will be reported by my co-reporter, to discuss the study of the Republic of Ireland, the single transferable vote in action. So what is a single transferable vote system? So the system is devised by Thomas Hare in 1850s. So the single transferable vote is a voting system designed to achieve or closely approach proportional representation through the use of multi-member constituencies of each voting cast in a single ballot on which candidates are ranked. The preferential or the ranked balloting allows transfer of votes to produce proportionality, to form consensus behind select candidates, and to avoid the waste of votes prevalent under the voting systems. How a single transferable vote works. So to understand how a single transferable vote counts works, let us look at the imaginary council ward called the student trustee. So the student trustee is a multi-member ward which is represented by 8 councillors. So the 4 councillors has recently resigned, and this leads to a by-election of 4 vacancy or seat. How to complete your ballot paper. In this example, there are 7 candidates competing for 4 seats. So on the polling day, voters in the student trustee voted by numbering their candidates in order of preference. So they put 1 to their favorite candidate, and 2 to their second candidate, and number 3 to the third favorite candidate, and so on. So this is an example of a ballot paper of the single transferable vote. So how STV is counted? On a working out on the quota, in this example, Ward 5,000 people cast valid votes. There are 4 seats available and 7 candidates. So before anything else, we need to work out the number of votes of the candidates needed to be selected. So this is called a quota. So to calculate the formula, we do the following sum. So the total number of votes, which is 5,000, and the number of positions, which is 4. 5,000 divided by 4 plus 1 equals 1,001. So this is called the Drup quota. So how STV is counted? So under the single transferable vote system, votes are successively transferred to the hopefuls from 2 sources. Number 1 is the surplus votes of the elected candidates, and number 2 is the votes of eliminated candidates. So the possible algorithms in doing this differ in detail in order of steps. So number 1, compute the quota. Number 2, assign votes to the candidates by first preferences. Number 3, declare all winners, all candidates who receive at least the quota. Number 4, transfer the excess votes from winners to the hopefuls. Number 5, repeat 3 and 4. No new candidates are elected. So this might affect the outcome. So what are the advantages of a single transferable vote system? So as a mechanism for choosing representatives, so the single transferable vote or STV is perhaps the most sophisticated of all electoral systems, allowing for choice between parties, between candidates within parties. So the final result also retain a fair degree of proportionality. So under this STV, fewer votes are wasted. In other words, fewer votes are cast for losing candidates or unnecessary cast for a runaway winner. This means that the most voters can identify representatives that they personally held to elect. It is argued that this, in turn, increases a representative's accountability. There are no safe seats in STV, meaning candidates cannot be complacent and parties of campaign everywhere, not just in marginal seats. When voters have the ability to rank candidates, the most disliked candidates cannot win, as they are unlikely to pick up second, third, or lower preferences votes. There are also disadvantages in the single transferable vote system. So the single transferable vote, or the STV, is often criticized on the grounds that preference voting is unfamiliar in many societies and demands at the very least a degree of literacy and numeracy. So STV count are themselves quite complex. So the process of counting the results takes longer under STV, meaning that the results cannot usually be declared on the same night as the vote takes place. Voting system that allows voters to rank candidates can be prone to what has been termed the donkey voting, where voters vote for candidates in order they appear in the ballot. And in large multi-member constituencies, ballot papers can get rather large and potentially confusing. In large multi-member constituencies, ballot papers can get rather large and potentially confusing.
Single transferable voting is being used to elect the student trustees. It's the fairest and most effective system to elect multiple candidates. Alright, so let's give a hypothetical example. Let's say these 7 cartoon characters are all running for student trustees. For the voter, it's very simple. All you need to do is rank your favourite candidates in order of preference, just like in alternative voting. The important thing to remember about the student trustee election is that 4 of the candidates will be elected, not just 1, as with the sabbaticals. So after you've voted, this is what happens. It's a bit complicated, but it is fair. We start with the first round of first preference votes. In order to win, each candidate must get a minimum number of votes, which is called the quota. This is worked out by the total number of votes, which in this case is 5,000, divided by the number of positions to fill, plus 1. Then add 1 to that, and our quota is 1,001, though of course this changes with every election. Clearly, Mickey Mouse has won straight away, as his vote count has exceeded the quota. The other characters haven't reached this quota yet. What happens now is Mickey's votes are effectively scaled down to the size of his surplus over the quota, then redistributed to the other candidates based on the voter's second choice preference. As no other candidates have reached the quota, the next stage takes the least popular candidate, poor old Freddie Flintstone, and they get eliminated. The votes get redistributed based on second choice preference. Alright, so in that time we can see that both Charlie Brown and Bugs Bunny have gained enough first and second choice votes to reach their quotas. So 3 out of 4 trustees have already been elected. And so the cycle starts again. Charlie and Bugs' votes are weighted down to the size of the surplus and redistributed between Homer Simpson, Popeye and Scooby-Doo, again by the rank preference of the voter. Still, no cartoon has reached the quota, so Popeye is eliminated for having too few votes, and his votes are shared. By the looks of it, Popeye's voters have some crazy alliance with Homer Simpson, so it's Homer that takes the last trustee role. And it's therefore, because of STV, the fairest way possible that your new Susu student trustees are Mickey Mouse, Charlie Brown, Bugs Bunny and Homer Simpson.
For the next topic, my co-reporter will discuss about the Republic of Ireland, the single transferable vote in action.
The Republic of Ireland, the Single Transferable Vote or STV in action. The Republic of Ireland is a unitary, parliamentary republic. The authority is divided between the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. The legislature of Ireland is a bicameral system, meaning to say it is divided between 2, which is the lower house and the upper house. The upper house is called the Seanad Éireann, and the lower house, which is called the Dáil Éireann. The Dáil Éireann, or the lower house, is the most important part of the Irish political system. They are important because they vote for the government or the ministers. Also, it is very important in our case study because the Dáil Éireann uses the STV or the single transferable vote as their electoral system. History of STV in Ireland. The origin of STV in Ireland is when they gained their independence during the 1990s. The transferable vote of Ireland is a legacy of British rule in the island because it is part of their departing agreement. The members of the Dáil Éireann is called the TDs or the Dáil deputies. There are 166 members of the Dáil. They are elected from around 40 constituencies. Each constituency returning 3, 4, or 5 members based on its constitutional provision, which states that no constituency shall have less than 3 seats and there shall not less than 1 member per 30,000 of its population, nor more than 1 member per 20,000 of the population. The current system electing the Dáil derives from the 1937 Constitution of Ireland, and it cannot be changed without a referendum. On the two occasions, in 1959 and 1968, Fianna Fáil, which is the largest party, instigated a referendum to replace STV, relying mainly on the argument that STV would in future make stable majority government impossible. On each occasion conducted, the electorate or the voters rejected the idea of changing STV into other electoral system. The critic of the system, the power of STV it gives to the voters to choose among candidates of the same party, create intense intra-party competition. Incumbent is more concerned to stay ahead of his or her fellow party candidates than to attempt to win votes from other parties. Of this are the Dáil is very ineffective parliament, and that political argument rotates around candidates, constituency service records rather than national political issues. The defenders of the system sees this as an opportunity for the voters to elect their preferred candidate regardless of its political party. STV is designed to maximize the voters' power. Voters are able to express preference for any candidate they wish without being constrained by barriers separating one party's candidates from another. There is no evidence that Irish MPs are lower caliber than those elsewhere. The Republic of Ireland's recent record of impressive economic growth shows that there cannot be too much wrong with the government or the behavior of the government. They are extremely cohesive and disciplined in the parliament, with no functions or recognizable subgroups. In conclusion, STV enables the voters to support the candidate or the party they like best, even if they have a little chance of winning, and then using their preference to ensure that their vote will not go to waste, since their vote will move on to the other candidate with the real chances of winning. Although critics say that Irish people need to change their electoral system, but as of now there is no sign that the people of Republic of Ireland would like to replace it.